how this program runs. Tonight is the second of our three-part series, and we look at Nanyin against the distinctive backdrop of Singapore history. In the last performance called 落叶归根, we talk about the arrival of Nanyin in Southeast Asia, the roles that they play during the early Chinese migration, and more importantly, the social function that Nanyin manifests during the Sino-Japanese War. Now, Nanyin started, Siong Leng started life in Singapore in 1901 as Hen Yunke. During the Sino-Japanese War, when they were actively raising funds for China Relief Fund, they were asked to close. Now, having been asked to close doesn't mean they don't do anything. They regenerated into Yunlu, but was again asked to close. This time, they went underground for a while and reborn as Siong Leng. Unfortunately, it was also the eve of Japanese invasion. And with the Japanese surrender, it marks the end of the first chapter of Siong Leng in Singapore history. Tonight is the second of the third part. Tonight's story is called 落叶生根, and the story begins with the Japanese surrender. To a lot of American and perhaps European, World War II starts in 1941. But to the Chinese in Singapore, World War II starts in 1937 with the beginning of Sino-Japanese War. Now, the Japanese surrender, to a lot of them, also mean the end of 3 years and 8 months of darkness, suffering and hardship. With the end of the war, the British came back. Singapore became a British colony again, and people celebrated. But to a lot of Chinese in this part of the world, what they never imagined was the big, profound change that awaits this part of the world. With the end of colonialism and the rise of nation states, a lot of Chinese community in Southeast Asia had to address the issue of the Chinese problem, what to do with the Chinese in the respective country. So in Vietnam, you have the boat people. In Indochina, you have nationalization. In Singapore was about to become independent, but on the other hand, China, People's Republic of China was also established, and the Cold War started, Malayan emergency. All of these factors put together means a lot of the migrants who contributed during the war suddenly have to accept the fact that perhaps for the rest of their lives, they will never be able to see their family members back home. During this period, listening to Nanyin music helps to resolve the homesickness. So this program, we have carefully selected a series of songs which we believe those migrants post-war would have listened to. And one song in particular, The Old Man from China, writes about the resilience but also the despair and homesickness. And if you think about it from this perspective, for those elderly people gathering in Thian Hock Keng listen to Nanyin in those days, it's almost as if the Nanyin music brought them back home to see their loved one, even for a few minutes as the music lingers, and help resolve that desperate sense of homesickness. I think it's this intensity of history that is captured in all of these songs that we should all try to appreciate. Thank you.
各位来宾，大家晚上好。那么今天呢，又是6月19光临档了。我们夏令乐社呢，在这里要呈现南音的节目。那么在2月19的时候呢，我们呈现了第一系列的南音节目。那么今晚的南音节目的系列呢，称为落叶生根。为什么落叶生根呢？重要的是说，我们新加坡早期的华人移民，他们在第2次世界大战以后，随着政局的大改变，随着中国的内乱，随着世界各地的冷战，还有呢，就是日本的侵入，直到 日本的退出，然后呢又建立了我们英国殖民地的时代，一直到呢殖民地时代的动摇，然后呢新马关系的紧张等等，这些因素呢使到新加坡的华人跟移民呢，他们在这呢觉得有一种失落的感觉，他们不知道他们应该是属于哪一个国际，情绪上呢也是非常的起伏变化的，因为呢他们回不了祖国，祖国在内战，那么在这里呢又觉得很陌生，所以呢这样的一种复杂的情怀，使到他们呢无所倾诉，所以呢今天这里的天福宫在当年呢就是他们的聚集的地方，欣赏南音呢也就是成为他们唯一的寄托，唯一的思乡之情的寄托。那么今晚的这个系列呢，就是要呈现的，就二战以后，这是丁满辰先生当年所创作的歌曲，表露了当时的移民华人他们对思乡情绪的浓郁情怀。